Our next speaker is Darshan Devakaran. He's the UAS Program Engineer for Division at Aviation, NCDOT. So here you go, Darshan.
Thank you. So make sure everyone can hear me clearly. I just wanted to start early because I'll get extra 2-3 minutes. So myself, I'm Darshan Devakaran. I'm the US Program Engineer for NCDOT, and we are our team consists of myself, our US Program Managers Basil Yap, and US Technical Trainer Thomas Walls. So we are a small three-man team, but we lead the program for the state. So any US applications, innovation, we work directly with the agencies, the companies. So myself and Basil, we are subject matter experts for the governor's office and the legislature. We are also involved with the public safety agencies. We help integrate US programs. And so today's presentation, I'm going to be covering about some of the great innovations that's happening in North Carolina and how we are moving to the next level in the use of UAS. So basically, this is the timeline of North Carolina aviation. So 1903, basically this timeline starts in 1903. So we start with the first flight, Wright brothers, the Wright brother memorial at Kitty Hawk. If you have seen that, that's where the first flight took place. And we proudly say, if there's anyone from Ohio here, they always have this, that aviation was there first. But so we are first in flight. So we continue the tradition by being more innovative. And in 1948, I believe, or 1943 or 1946 or 1948, the Paramount Airlines in Charlotte was created. So that was a historic thing. And then we have Honda Jet in North Carolina. And then came the whole drones, was the big talk. And North Carolina is a leader in this at the present moment. But in 2014, when the regulations was pretty much like out there like a wild, wild west, no one knew what to do. There was the COA, that is COA, Certificate of Authorization, and there was the 333 exemption that existed. But these did not really help general people to get into unmanned systems. All it did was pilots who had FAA license, private pilot, instrument pilot, commercial pilots, could get into the UAS. So my background, that's where I started. I'm a commercial pilot. I'm an aeronautical engineer with GIS. So I brought, I came into the US side with that background. And then, other states started realizing that people are following no rules and regulations. People are buying drones and just flying. So many states came together and said, we should do something about it. We should start a permitting system. So this came about North Carolina taking the step forward and having a permit system. So in North Carolina, if you are a commercial or government operator, you need to have a, let me clear it again, commercial or government drone operator, you need to have a North Carolina permit. So this is in addition to your federal license. So that is what makes our state unique, is we are the only state that has that permit system. Many people say, why when you have an FAA license? This has two ways. One is educational perspective, that we know our operators, Omni, are there and are they flying safely. This information that we get, who the commercial government operators are, we provide information on new FAA rules and regulations, the updates and everything. So this makes it easy. It's a free permit. Anyone can get it. It takes 30 minutes, but you have to get your FAA license for that. So in 2014, North Carolina legislature mandated us to lead the US side, that's Division of Aviation, and that is where the whole US side for North Carolina started. And now moving to 2019, we are, so one thing is DOT-wise, we are the #1 DOT in the nation for UAS. State-wise, we are, I would say, the top 5 states in the nation moving, taking this technology forward. So we are getting there. And 2019, we are talking about drones for medical package delivery, food delivery, and we're talking about operations that are beyond visual line of sight. So it's a it's a pretty great time to be in the unmanned systems area. A lot of information, and those who are into GIS and data and stuff, they would also love this time because all this requires a lot of planning, but at the same time generates a lot of data. So the vision forward is urban air mobility systems like drone taxis, drone ambulance, cargo delivery drones. That's the vision is going towards 2025, 2030. We're going to have that, and like NCDOT manages all the infrastructure, this is also going to be an area where we are going to be working towards to build this infrastructure for urban air mobility. So in 2017 December, President Trump announced the integration pilot program. The pilot program basically has three focus areas. One is to test and evaluate, how state and local agencies can work with FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, on on regulating the airspace. So that is below 400 feet, how they can work with FAA to regulate it. Also, it gives opportunity for companies to come up and do new technology testing and bring in more innovation. The third element is these testing create new rules and regulations which can help everyone else. So that is the main idea behind the IPP. And in 2017, when it was announced, we were one of the 10 winners out of 149 applications. There were more, but they selected really 149. And out of 149, we were one of the 10 that is selected. So North Carolina won the IPP. It is an historic moment because this is where North Carolina is first in, similarly first in flight, first in UAS also in the medical and package delivery, standard package delivery. So these are the other states. I believe in this we have 10. We just heard most recently that Florida dropped out of it. So we have only 9. So what's North Carolina's main goal behind being involved in the IPP? There's no funding from, there's no federal funding. It is NCDOT managed, and we have to bring in partners and all those. So what is the end goal of this is basically with drone technology moving forward, you're able to improve the lives and economic well-being of North Carolinians. You bring about a whole state of innovative drone use. And our focus is medical package delivery, standard package delivery, and infrastructure inspections. So this is pretty unique. And out of the 9 applications, each one has a focus. Understand how state and local government can be involved in regulating the airspace here in North Carolina. There are so many drones. Basically the numbers are for every manned aircraft, there are 7 drones in North Carolina. So that is the numbers we are talking about, and it's growing. Everyone's acquiring a drone. I'm sure by the end of this presentation, one of you are going to go and buy a drone. So I'm motivating you all to do that. But that's the thing. How do we, FAA has to manage the whole airspace with the manned aircraft. It's just going to complicate it bringing in small drones. So how do we help as a state and local government to regulate this? And then when the new federal regulations, state regulations are created, how do we get this to the people? How does this help our people? That's the main thing, how they can recreate this, how companies can come up and make this as a routine operation. So we want to create more jobs, and companies that are interested in doing this will try to create a routine operation, so they will need more pilots, more engineers, more management staff, so that creates more jobs. So why North Carolina was selected, and I believe this is some of the reasons. First of all, we have coast on one end, mountains on the other side. We'd say we had a pretty good weather. When it rains, when it rains, it snows. When it snows, it rains. When it's summer, it rains. And so, the weather is different here, but the topography is more important. You are able to do testing in areas in the mountain where there's no network, no connectivity, to in the coast where you have weather issues. So that is one of the reasons. Also, if you want to go from one end to another end, though the roads are connected, it takes about, I believe, 6 hours to 8 hours to go from one, or more than that, to go from one end to another. And using drones, you can reduce that time, because now you can fly straight lines. You can, you get you don't have to stop for traffic, and until you get more drones up in the air. So it's pretty good that way. And then we have different airspaces, B, C, D, military airspaces. So we have a complex environment here to do testing. But we also have the whole urban and rural area where we can test in the urban area, also in the rural area, or merge them both together. But we have a good agricultural background. We have good medical and biotech centers. So that made it easy for us to win this, the medical package and infrastructure side. These are our partners. As I mentioned, there's no federal funding in this. It's managed by NCDOT, but these partners also bring in revenue. And the main thing is these folks will work together to make this easy for future operations in North Carolina. So the three main companies that are doing this, and now the fourth one would be us, and I'll tell you why that I said the fourth one. But Flightrex, Matanet, Zipline, these are the three companies that are flying drones right now internationally. And in the further slides, we'll be talking more about it. So again, it comes back to how it benefits. So for North Carolina, we make North Carolina as one of the innovative states. We promote more jobs. We bring in companies that can create more jobs. We offer more STEM-based education for kids. This is where you motivate them that there's a lot of people, a lot of kids when I've gone to schools and I've spoken to, they felt that the only job is drone pilot in the drone side. And that's not the truth. There's so many areas that you have to focus on. I went to ECSU the other day for a site visit, and this person was like, I have a management degree. What do I do? Can I work in this? I said, absolutely. Right now, I'm in the management role. So if we had someone with more management experience, maybe we would have done even more better. But that's the thing. There's so many opportunities out there. The consumer benefits, faster. With medical package delivery, you have faster. Basically your medical supplies are transferred faster. You are able to get services faster. The cost is low, and maybe you live longer because of that. So that's the consumer benefit. Industry-wise, we are able to change the whole regulations for the nation. We are able to do testing here in this environment and create a whole new opportunity for other states and other countries also learn from this. Community impact. It improves the whole, the state's health system. It says that we are taking our health, seriously, but at the same time, we're trying to keep our costs low. We're trying to speed up our services. Just think, now we are transporting smaller samples. Later, we can transport even larger stuff like, organ transfer using drones, and also there's a whole area that opens up. Economic benefit creates a lot of jobs. So this is where we say kids have to stay in school, get a degree, there's jobs waiting. Innovation, just think about it, aviation, technology, and medical all coming together. That's pretty innovative. How do we look at this going further? Maybe integrating more areas into this, and the rapid intra-metro rural access. This is where if you need during a disaster, if you need supplies to be sent to the other end of the coast, this is the best way to do it. Because the roads are shut, there's flooding, so you can get a good example is during Hurricane Florence. Wilmington was. We had no connection in Wilmington. This is where we could have used this technology to transfer some stuff to them. So this is our planned, operations. So urban example. So urban example is Raleigh Center. We want to try and we looked at different areas, and we felt, because we were at RDU and major of the companies wanted to focus on RDU, so we try to keep it in Raleigh. But this is going to be an example of how we can move around. But a whole rural example is right here, in the coast. But we are also working towards the Asheville side to create that as a rural example also. So the companies that I mentioned, Matanet, this is one of the companies that is right now on the top of our list because they did the first flight last year. So Matternet is a company that's been doing this from 2017, that is medical sample delivery in Switzerland, and they have finished like over 4,000 plus autonomous flights. When I say autonomous, is that they just do a handoff, the aircraft takes off at a certain point and then flies autonomous, and the other person just is able to see till a point, and then the other pilot watches it come down. So it's basically a handoff, but they don't. Only thing they do is the landing part. The whole flight is autonomous. The BVLOS, I think it's misspelled as LVOS, it's BVLOS, is basically a beyond visual line of sight operation. It's very difficult to get right now. Only few companies have that. So this is where they have had the experience in other countries. All-weather drone, their range is to 12 mile. And as the aircraft lands, they have a base station which can swap the batteries and also the samples. So you can see right there the image of you put the system in, it goes up, goes into the drone, flies, come back, land, comes out from the spots. So they have the system. So on okay, there's a video supposed to be there. So make sure, sorry about that. Oh yeah, that's why. I missed out a whole thing. Tommy got me the wrong video. The wrong presentation. This is the PDF version. Sorry about that. So right there. So this was on August 29th, was the first medical package flight. It was just a lab sample. There was no real sample blood in it. It was just water, a saline bag. But we did the first flight under FAA, under the FAA's eyes and under the FAA approval and guidelines. And it was successful. We are doing the next one next week. Once that finishes, there's a possibility of it becoming a routine operation. So there's a lot of things involved in it. It's not just delivering the package, but remote ID, being able to identify other aircrafts in the vicinity, managing it between manned and unmanned aircrafts, flight over people, and detect and avoid. So this is our plan for the beyond visual line of sight operation. So this is a WakeMed operation. Basically, that's one end of the WakeMed hospital, and that's the other, where they need to deliver the package. These are the things we have to be focused on. There is infrastructure around it, so we have to avoid that. There's zoning rules that we have to make sure that we are following. So that's the flight path. This is an example how we're going to be planning the flight path. It's going to be operations over people, so we need that waiver. And you have other aircrafts, like you have the medevac helicopters, you have military aircrafts that are passing by that don't really follow rules and regulations. It's all emergency based, so we need to make sure that these drones are able to detect them and avoid hitting them. But also the big issue is weather, because it's unlike just going on an app and seeing what the weather is. We really have to start focusing at the level of where these aircrafts are flying, if there's a sudden wind change and what, cloud elevation and stuff. So that was one of our route. The other partner is Flightrex. They are pretty interesting because they do food delivery, and they have been doing it in Iceland, Panama, and Costa Rica. So it's an app-based system. You order your food, they come and deliver it at a base, and you can pick it up. So it's going to happen in Holy Springs. We are working on that. Should be before the summer. We should be able to. In summer, we're going to be doing the first flight. So if you all hear about it, do come. And we are hoping that after FAA approves it, people in Holy Springs are able to order food. So I was surprised by Holy Springs. I heard at 7 p.m. basically all the restaurants, or basically our shops shut down and restaurants shut down. So they wanted to start the system there. Zipline is a big company, which is a partner which has not yet started flying, but will be flying soon this year. This company is unique because they are I would say among the other companies, they are the biggest. They have finished 150,000 miles of flight in Rwanda and other places. That's basically 5.5 times the globe. So they have done a lot of flights. They have a lot of experience. They have delivered 10,000 units of blood. If you search medical drones, that is the first company that pops up. They've been doing these operations in Rwanda from 2016. And I mentioned to you all earlier that the fourth, that is us. Now, NCDOT, because of last year Hurricane Florence response, where we led the whole operations for infrastructure inspection during the hurricane, made us come in the eye of FAA, and FAA said, we want to add this to your IPP, that you're going to be working with us to set the future regulations on infrastructure inspections. So this is a big thing because we early had this in our proposal. They made us remove it out, saying that someone else will focus on it, but they brought it back again in. So it was that one disaster that changed the mindset of FAA, said that you guys need to lead this. So our plan is beyond visual line of sight operations, night operations, operations over people. We want to be doing this. We already do this. You know, all these operations, not these waivers, but we have been doing infrastructure inspections for years. We've been doing it traditionally. Now we use drones. So it's been going on for some time now, but now we are able to do even more and even more faster. So, you know, airports, bridges, construction projects, we can do it faster. So these are some of the operations that we are currently doing. Airports, we do airport inspections, bridges, environmental analysis, that's landslide inspections and stuff. Even geotech, that's geotech really. Environmental is that we have a drone sprayer, that space used for agricultural purposes, rail corridor. This is our fleet that we currently have. We have about 31 aircrafts, and it's just growing. And most recently, we added the SenseFly EV system to our fleet. That's a fixed wing. Before I get to that, I would like to show you all the video, which was not on the PDF, but yep, right here.
115 years ago, on the dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina became the birthplace of aviation. Ever since, this state has been at the center of aviation and aerospace innovation. That tradition continues now as unmanned aircraft systems, or drones, become more and more prevalent.
We know there's going to be impacts. We know that it's going to impact aviation, but not just aviation. It's going to ripple out into every other industry and business sector you can imagine.
The North Carolina Department of Transportation Division of Aviation has been leading the UAS side in North Carolina for over years now. We have been helping public safety agencies and commercial companies, hobbyists in North Carolina integrate this technology.
You know, what we hope to happen here in North Carolina is that North Carolina becomes the center point of the new industry, and you know, we'll be part of that.
And new industries typically bring new jobs and improve quality of life. So I think that's something that North Carolina has to look forward to.
Since 2014, NCDOT's Division of Aviation has taken the lead in regulating and promoting drones in North Carolina, helping state and local agencies become among the first in the country to use drones in unique and vital ways.
Well, we've been using drones in photogrammetry since about 2014, and our main purpose is to collect imagery.
We will be offering the residents of Holly Springs in North Carolina an on-demand food delivery service using drones.
We've been using drones to map crash scenes, creating orthomosaics, 2D orthomosaics, and also doing some 3D modeling.
We're here to provide sensors, particularly radar, that's going to make sure that we have safe skies, that what's operating up there is operating safely.
Zipline designs, manufactures, and operates drones that deliver blood and other life-saving medicines to some of the world's most hard-to-reach places in any weather over any terrain.
Soon, the state will even feature drone-based delivery of medical supplies.
North Carolina's participation in the UAS integration program is really exciting because we are now witnessing a transformation in aviation.
The integration pilot program is a big win for our state. We are first in aviation, and with this win, we will or we should be the first in package delivery, medical package delivery.
I hope that this is one of the first places in the country that really gets to see a full commercial implementation of things like medical package delivery. Some of the partners that are working with us on the IPP have a long history of being able to deliver life-saving materials, blood, vaccinations to areas that need them in countries around the world. We would really like to see those similar kinds of functionalities here for the residents of North Carolina.
Our participation in this program is also going to highlight the full potential of using drones for commercial and government use. We're able to break down the regulatory barriers that have held back the true benefits of this technology.
As the industry advances, North Carolina is in prime position to be at the forefront of drone innovation and growth.
I'll push ahead. Just keeps talking what I said. And I didn't want to put this video first, then you'd say that I was repeating everything. So put it last. I mentioned about Hurricane Florence. And so one thing is at 2:30, we'll be having a presentation where you'll have an extended team. You'll have another person presenting with me, Todd Myers, who helped us with the smart sheets and everything. Basically, the whole Hurricane Florence operation that we did was recognized by FAA, FEMA, National Guard, and NASA as one of the best operations so far. So that really tells a lot that in North Carolina is now in the eye of many of the federal agencies and even other countries. So that's pretty, so at 2:30, you'll hear a small piece of mine, but it's more Todd. So I think during Hurricane Florence, you saw this picture. A lot of people online said that's a river. It was a different picture, more close in, and they said it's a river, it's not I-40. But the reality was that when we flew a drone to see this, we said that this is what people should know, that not to go out and try to reach out to Wilmington and places, drive around, because this is what you're going to be stuck at. So this was a great picture that's got circulated all around. The funny story is that we sent it to our communications. Communications started sending out to the news and media. The next day in the morning, I get a message from one of my friends in San Francisco saying that, check this picture, man, you guys should follow these people. They really do a good job. And I'm like, it says NCDOT on top, You didn't read that, but that is good to get retweeted, within 24 hours. But how, with drones, we have a lot of data that we work with, and that is what we'll be discussing in the next presentation. But this was an example of how we use drones over the day and how we acquired this data. So on 20th, this was the 421. On 21st, when you went, there was flooding. And then when the work started going on, we could map all this, document all this. We could help our engineers, help our DOT folks understand, what is required, but at the same document everything. We could go more in depth and see what the work was going on, how, if it is and, this could be done sitting in the office. You could get live streaming to see all this. So it was a great technology to use during Hurricane Florence. This was Kinston on 21st. The whole area was shut, but I believe RDUs was open that day. So I don't know who went in. But this is another example where the dam had breached and we had to fly it. The funny story here is, you see that railing? That's made in US. It stays even during hurricanes. Everything else, the roads did not survive, but that stayed. So infrastructure inspection, we had done railroad inspections, airports, ferry terminals. So this was all the data that we acquired. This was a ferry terminal and Ocracoke. All this data made FAA, National Guard all realize that we are the leaders in the state for UAS. We used a unique system, the Unmanned Traffic Management System, the air map dashboard that we created for IPP. This is unique because we are the only ones who could use this. It was only created for us, part of the IPP. We were able to observe flights, both the manned and unmanned flights going on at the same time. We had GIS, that's why I'm here, GIS conference. We had to have GIS in that. And GIS is, again, the key element for data when we work in the US side. How do we get all these videos and pictures out to the people immediately? So what we did is we worked with our GIS department to create, basically they wrote up a code where all the data and videos that was posted was saved in the SharePoint, was every 30 minutes pulled out with their latitude, longitude, and put in this GIS map where you go and click it and you can see live videos and pictures. So this was where we could pull in all the manned and unmanned flights at the same time. And these were the agencies that we were watching this, were taking, that we were helping out. So, it's a great example of how GIS was incorporated into this. Key takeaways from Hurricane Florence. The biggest one was we now do infrastructure inspection part of the IPP, but this helps rapid assessments for traffic and infrastructure, public communication. It helps streaming videos. We had to look for future more weatherproof drones and how we can help share this data to emergency responders quickly. One of the, as we wrap up, one of the most another innovative area was the environmental application of this. I don't know why the video is tilted, but we are the only state, in the nation that has this unique capability of flying this drone for agricultural purposes, where we spray for herbicide application for the Phragmites at Bodie Island. It took about 4 to 5 years to get this going, because you needed your agricultural permit, you needed your National Park Service permit, and it took a whole process to get this. And North Engineering is the folks who are helping us get this flights for this unique drone. Future of North Carolina, we're going to be seeing drone taxis, drone ambulance some point. Not immediately, we're working our way there, but the biggest win for us would be cargo delivery, and that's where we are working towards. This is my information. We have a drone summit in August in Greensboro. I hope to see many of you all there, but if you have any questions, I don't want to take away the next person's time, but I'll be out there. If you have any questions, you can. Thank you.